Okay, welcome, Jim. Jim Shields. It's the next episode of Solopreneur Success Stories, and this time we're talking with Jim. You live in Colorado. You run your own marketing agency. To get right into it, the first question would be, what is your advice for someone who wants to become self-employed?
Yeah, really good question, and I appreciate you having me. I was looking forward to this, so I appreciate you having me. So it's kind of a loaded question. Obviously, it depends on everybody's circumstances, where you're at in life. Definitely you want to consider somebody who has 3 or 4 kids and they're in their 40s is going to be in a completely different situation than somebody who, like me, I'm 23. Yeah, I'm married, but we don't have any kids. So it's a lot easier to take risks. So definitely consider your own situation and the people that are relying on you to provide an income, because that's what we're focusing on. So taking all that into consideration, the main things I would ask yourself are, what are your goals for being self-employed? Are your goals money? Is your goals freedom? Is your goal, I don't want to have a boss? Like for me, for example, my big goal is I've always wanted freedom, and I didn't want to do the 9 to 5 grind for 40, 50 years and then have 15, 20 years of freedom when I'm in my 60s, 70s, 80s and my body's falling apart. And yeah, I'm free, but am I really free if I'm in my 80s and I didn't live a life that I enjoyed or live a life on my terms? And my answer was no. So that's the first question I would ask yourself is, what is your goal for it? If your goal is money, well, you can make a lot of money as an entrepreneur, as working your way up in a company. And so if that's your goal, just to make money, I'd really consider maybe self-employment isn't the path for you. If your goal is freedom, like it was for me, like I mentioned earlier, I would look at your circumstances and then start to create a plan of, for me, when I was 16, 17, 18, I called it my escape plan. Okay, how can I create a way for me to escape this life that I'm currently living of working the 9 to 5 grind and honestly hating what I was doing? And so what that looked like for me was having something on the side, building up, saving up money, building up my skills, and kind of slowly transitioning out of the 9 to 5 job. And that's what I've been doing over the past couple years, is working on building up my skills. And then slowly but surely, it was like a 2 or 3 year process. But earlier this year, I was able to go full-time in my business. And now I'm doing my marketing agency full-time.
Very good, very smart advice. Obviously, your circumstances and your life situation really dictates what is available, what makes sense. So saving money and being younger, not having a family, so less responsibilities, gives you better opportunity to take bigger risks. And now the follow-up question is, how has it been going with you? Like, first of all, how did you decide to start with marketing? Because what I understood, you were doing something completely different in the 9 to 5 and then jumped into
Yeah.
marketing. And how did you take the first steps?
Yeah, so great question. So before I was doing marketing, it was honestly just kind of odd jobs, basically anything to pay the bills. So I'm young, I'm a dude, so I can do a lot of manual labor jobs. So it was tire shops, it was warehouse work. I did a little bit of like medical waste working as well. And that's what I was doing before I transitioned into marketing. And so my first steps with it were, I'd always kind of done stuff on the side. I had built websites through Wix, nothing complicated, helped my mom do a YouTube channel. And I always enjoyed it. And I knew I always wanted to eventually pursue a path down that road. I just didn't know what it looked like yet. I kind of had a vision for it, but I just hadn't taken those first steps. And that's where I feel like a lot of people are who are probably watching this is, I know I don't like what I'm doing right now. I know I want something different, but how do I make that transition from something in my head to actually starting to take those steps to put it into action? And so what that looked like for me was, I was watching YouTube, kind of as we all do, like, okay, how do I do this? How do I do this? And I came across Danco. I'm sure most of us know who that is. And I loved his vision of, I am my niche. I am the brand, basically. And I kind of took that first step. I bought his, I think it's called a 2-hour writer course. And I went through that and it was amazing. And it kind of gave me a vision of, okay, I think X is something that I could do. Kind of wasn't super comfortable on camera. And that's something that Maru definitely helped me overcome recently. But out in November of last year is when I got started on everything on the online space. I wasn't comfortable on camera. So I said, okay, I could probably write tweets. I like that idea of just putting my thoughts out there, and that's the content that I'm going to use. And it's kind of just gone from there, of a continual process of getting better, learning, and you just figure out things along the way. And that's what I would encourage anybody watching this is take that first step, no matter how small it is. If you're comfortable on camera, just start filming videos, 30-second clips of you saying whatever, saying what you're interested in, saying what you are learning about. And as you get in that process of continually getting better, and that's what your focus should be, is just putting out content consistently and getting better, you'll be amazed at the progress you can make if you stick to it for a year. You really will. And as long as your focus is not how can I be rich in the next 30 days, it's how can I continually get better and make this something that I can do for the rest of my life.
Again, that's excellent advice. Definitely the social media game, starting a YouTube channel, is not like one shot thing that, okay, let me do a few videos this month and then everything
Yeah.
will, happen after.
Yeah.
It's a marathon. It's something you pick up the skills as you go along. Yeah, definitely for me also Danko and these new creators talking about this one person business model was also like sort of fresh impulse of like, yes, this really can work. I've been personally a freelancer and self-employed for a few years, but really I also got attracted to the aspect of building a personal brand. So which allows you, more opportunities and can work as a leverage point. How how important for you? How do you see personal branding yourself for this kind of solopreneurship or building an online business?
Yeah, no, great question. And I think it's becoming more important than it's ever been. Information is abundant. We can get any amount of information or any source of information we want like that. With ChatGPT, with AI, with even just Google, you can find basically anything you need to know like that. So in a world where we don't really need people to get information anymore, how do you differentiate yourself and be able to make a living in that kind of world? And that's where I think the personal brand ties into it is, yes, I could learn this information from a million different sources, but I want to learn it from Maru or I want to learn it from Jim because I like who they are as people and I know that they know what they're talking about. And so that's where the authenticity and the personal side of your brand really does tie in is, yes, I have a marketing agency, but it's not just Ethos Digital Marketing, which is the name of my marketing agency. It's, yeah, that's the name of it, but I'm the owner of it, and this is who I am. And yes, I like fitness, and I like playing soccer, and I like talking about mindset. And I'm definitely no expert at that. Like, I'm still learning and figuring this out. But that's kind of what I've tried to incorporate into my brand is how can I show not just my knowledge and say, this is how you do meta ads, or this is how you build a landing page. It's, this is how I built a landing page for this customer. Or also just that personal side of, hey, I like soccer, and maybe even trying to tie both of those into each other. So that's what I would say. And yeah, I think having a personal brand is more important than it's ever been.
Good answer for sure. As you said, the information is like we have an information overload. Like we
Hmm.
have AI chatbots, we have Google, we have all these YouTube videos. But exactly the thing that differentiates you from the rest is like who can resonate with you. Because most of the time, whether you're a personal brand, an influencer, an educator, we're talking about building long-term relationships. It becomes really important to create that connection. But okay, Jim likes soccer, Jim likes fitness, Jim likes mindset. And then some people stumble upon your videos and they're like, okay, he seems interesting, and they watch some more, and maybe there's more personal stuff there in the middle, and that's how they either vibe with you or they don't, and that's
Yeah.
perfectly fine because we don't need everyone. If we're talking
Hmm.
about one person business, you basically only need handful of clients per year and you're
Hmm.
completely fine. So you don't need to have Mr. Beast views or subscribers. Only the exactly the people you want to work with, and being yourself, as you said, being authentic is the key to building
100%.
for sure. You want to expand how you're specifically building yours?
Yeah, so and really good points there. I do think that's the beauty of the internet nowadays is you really don't need 2-3 million subscribers. You can make a lot of money with 1,000 followers, even less than that if you really market yourself well. And so that's the beauty of it. And something that I've really tried to incorporate in the direction that I take my brand is we all fall into it, focusing on impressions, focusing on views, focusing on how many subscribers I have. And I feel like it's very easy to fall into the trap of I'll create quality content once I get to 1 million subscribers. And that's not how it works. You create quality content. The people that like you resonate with you, and you perform a really good service for those people. Whatever that service may be, whether it's entertainment, whether it's education, whether it's you're actually providing a service like me, building websites or doing marketing services for people. And so that's what I've really tried to incorporate into my brand, is always keeping that authenticity, trying to stay as humble as possible, and just being a real person. Just messaging people in DMs, not always trying to pitch people or sell them something. Right. Just, hey, my name's Jim. I want to get to know you. Love to hear your story. And I genuinely do enjoy just learning about people's stories, and you never know where a relationship may lead. Yeah, you may message somebody and they don't become a client of yours, but they may know somebody who knows somebody, and you get 10 clients out of that. You never know that. And so That's what I would encourage people to focus on, is as best as possible, detach yourself from the outcome of I want more followers, more views, more subscribers, and just focus on the one person behind the camera, or the one person that you're messaging in the DMs, and focus on them as a person and build that relationship. Like, for example, me and Maru, we just met each other on X, and he asked me for some advice on his landing page. I hopped on a call with him, 30-minute call, gave him some advice. I didn't make any money out of that, but he gave me a review, gave me a testimonial, which I'm sure helped me get some other clients. And also I was able to help him in the journey of starting YouTube, and he was able to help me start on YouTube. And so, like I said earlier, I would just encourage you, focus on the relationships and show people your authenticity and who you actually are as a person.
Perfect. I was going to ask you like the follow-up question, how do you get your clients? But you kind of answered it already.
Yeah.
That it's about making these connections. You start a conversation with people, you send a DM, you just ask about them and like what is going on with their life. And I think it's a beautiful approach, because then you can forget kind of the part of like, I'm always trying to close or sell or pitch or, here's my offer and take it. Instead you go like a person first kind of approach, that, okay, who is this person I'm talking with? Like, what is important to him? And maybe there's something we can do together. Exactly like us. You helped me with the landing page with very, very good feedback that make perfect sense. And I made adjustments. And also the other way around, I was able to help you a little bit with your channel.
Yeah.
And as a segue from that, now I'm curious, for anyone who's interested in this topic, and maybe they want to join on X and start to build a community, maybe they want to start their YouTube channel. What's it like to start and put yourself in front of the camera? And personally, what were the biggest challenges for yourself?
So for me, and I'm sure a lot of people resonate with it, camera is just, it's always been something where I was like, I can't do camera, do it. And that's honestly was a big hindrance for me starting on social media. And like I mentioned earlier, that's why I got onto X, because it's like, a path where I don't have to get on camera. And so it's kind of always like in the background, a really big fear of mine. And somebody on X issued like a 30-day challenge to record a video of yourself a day. And shout out Will, he's awesome. And so I was like, I need to do this. I know I need to do this. I'm going to push myself. And around that time, I forget exactly how Maru and I connected in terms of him helping me with the YouTube channel. I can't remember. I think on our website call, you mentioned like if I was interested in getting into YouTube. And I was like, yeah, I know I need to do it. And so it kind of all coincided. And I just took that first step. And I'm telling you, the first day of filming the video, I didn't like how I sounded. I didn't like how I looked. I probably filmed the video maybe 20 times. I'm not even kidding. But I did it. And I took that first step and I started and I kept going from that. And I'm not going to say I'm still 100% comfortable on camera. Like this for me is a little bit easier because I'm talking with a person. But trust me, when I film my YouTube videos, I still do a million retakes. I still don't like how I sound. But I've got better. And I've only been doing it for 2 or 3 months now, but I got better because I took that first step. And that's what I would encourage people when they're first starting. You're not going to like how you look. You're not going to like how you sound. I don't know, some people may, at least for me, like I didn't like how I looked or sounded. And if you have those fears, just know, like, not everybody in the world's judging you. Not everybody in the world is like nitpicking every little detail about you. For the most part, just starting out, you'll probably get like 10 views on your videos anyway. So just start, and by the time you actually start to get a substantial amount of views, you'll have figured it out by then and you'll get better. So overarching point there, just start, do it, and you'll figure it out as you go. And eventually you'll start to enjoy it.
Exactly. Yes, I can relate to that perfectly. The reality behind the scenes, however many years you've been doing videos, or your experience, or you're starting out, there's always challenge. Like, okay, let's put ourselves in the right mode and like push the energy and okay, try to say these sentences without mumbling or making mistakes. And there's always
Yeah.
bad takes. And there's sometimes you need to take the whole thing again. And that's completely fine, because if we're talking about the whole meta of building a personal brand, and like at the meta level, it's about communication and being comfortable expressing your thoughts in, spoken form, and how do you communicate with your body language and your,
Yeah.
tonalities, and all the parts, all the spectrum of communication. It's it's such a good practice for everything you want to do in your future, with your business, with networking, with relationships, that I personally I see having a YouTube channel and pushing myself to okay, explore new topics, talk about your values or ideas or whatever your interests are, because of course you can make your YouTube channel to be whatever you want it to be. So it's a very good practice for anyone, even if it's for professional reasons or just as a hobby. And at the point of communication really ties everything back together to the point of like finding the people who like you.
Yeah.
In summary, building a YouTube channel is a very good self-improvement kind of practice that you can really develop all these different parts, because it's not only self-expression, it's also improving your skills, learning how
100%.
to educate others, and
Yeah.
building new connections, and learning how to be interactive when you're talking to a camera or a screen.
I definitely love that you brought up the personal development point of it inside of entrepreneurship. I heard a quote yesterday from Alex Hormozy in it. He said, "The business works on you more than you work on it. You, as the entrepreneur, are the product that's being developed. It's not your business. You are the biggest limiting factor in your business, your ability to make quality content, your ability to make cold calls, your ability to have the skills required to make this business where it needs to be. If there's somebody out there doing what you want, the only gap there is your skills and your ability to close that gap through persistence and continually getting better every single day." And so I really like that you brought that point up, because I think that's a huge part most people miss. I'll work on my fitness once I'm rich. Oh, I'll work on my communication skills once I'm rich. Oh, I'll work on my relationships once I'm rich. And the people who say that are missing the whole point of the journey. The journey is not the $1 million or $1 billion you make at the end. The journey is who you become once you achieve that $1 billion. And I know, because I'm still in the same place, I haven't made $1 billion yet, but it's very easy to say, once I make that $1 million, I'll be happy. But you have to remember, you bring yourself along that whole journey. And I know that once I get to that $1 billion, it's not going to feel as great as I think it's going to feel. What's going to feel great is the people I impacted, the relationships I built, and the man I became along this journey. And I feel like that's something that I've really started to realize over the past couple months. Is it's good to be driven. It's good to want to achieve goals. But who am I being in this moment? What kind of husband am I being in this moment? What kind of brother? What kind of son? What kind of man in general am I being in this moment? And I was finding that I really wasn't liking the type of person I was becoming. I was becoming hyper fixated on my goals and success, which is great. Trust me. Me out of anybody understands that mindset. But you also have to remember, who do you want to be when you achieve that $1 billion? Do you want to have lied, cheated, stole your way to the top? If your answer is yes, then go do that and make your $1 billion. But I'm telling you, it won't fulfill you. What's going to fulfill you is you get to the end of that journey and you say, man, I achieved it. But you're going to look back, and you're going to look back at the the things you've built, and that's what's going to fulfill you and make you proud.
That's a brilliant point there, Jim. If we don't enjoy the journey, what we're doing right now, like it's an elusive thought to think that, okay, when we arrive, then suddenly like it's going to be this fulfillment and okay, the doors of paradise opens up.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely, it's a path. It's self-cultivation to, okay, we have always these high goals. We want to reach the next thing and we need to push
Mm-hmm.
and go after it. Fair enough, you do, but is it sustainable? Are you
Yeah.
also maintaining your relationships in your life? It's a holistic view of becoming the person you want to be instead of having this, some arbitrary number in the sky, like I want to go there and then think
Yeah.
that that's going to fulfill me.
Uh-huh.
For me personally as well, that's one of the big attraction of being self-determined, being self-employed, because
Mm-hmm.
then you're responsible of yourself to yourself and to others that you build connections with. And on that note, I also had the thought of, okay, if we're talking about personal brand and growing your following or whatever, the kind of expectation that no one can start ready. We see all these examples, like we see Hormozy now that he has millions of
Yeah.
followers. We see all
Yeah.
these big channels now that, okay, they're making whatever number we try to go after ourselves, like 10K per month or 100K per month. And
Mm.
like, that's so amazing. And we kind of like think that, okay, if I start my YouTube channel, it has to be on the same level instantly. And
Yeah.
you cannot start ready. You have to
Yeah.
start where you are and
Yeah.
just take what you have and fix one thing at a time. Just see
Yeah.
what's exactly the next problem to solve right in front of you, figure that out, and then go after the whatever comes after. But this has been an
100%.
insight for me, at least recently, that okay, it's so easy to like spread yourself super thin because you want to go to 10 different directions.
Yeah.
But it's all about being a one person business, is that you really need to have focus and really just
Yeah.
concentrate. Okay, what is the next step? Not 5 steps ahead, not 10 steps ahead. What is the next step? Let's fix this landing page. Let's follow
Yeah.
up with this potential client. Let's send the email. Just
Mm.
focus on that and build from there, because it's so easy to idealize and dream of the future
Yeah.
success, but it doesn't happen if you don't take the right steps.
100%. And I mean, it's brilliant points. The first point you addressed about start where you are and don't try to be an Alex Hermosi right away. And that, trust me, this is something that I struggle with. And I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with that. It's, man, if I can't produce content at that level, what's the point of even starting? Why should I start? If I can't, that's who I'm competing with. And this is stuff I tell myself daily. I'm not saying I have it figured out yet, but your point about just focus on where you are, be where your feet are, be doing what you're doing. If you're having dinner with your wife or you're running, be where your feet are. And remember the point I mentioned earlier of the business works on you more than you work on it. So start, be where your feet are, and don't think that you have to have it figured out right away. If you listen to Alex and all the people who are where you want to be, they'll tell you the same thing. They'll say, yeah, when I first started, I had no idea what I was doing. It took me 10 years to figure it out, and this is where I am now. And the only differentiator between you and them is that they kept going. And that's what I would tell people, is you have to stick with something. Say, no matter how long it takes, no matter the circumstances, this is what I want, and I'm willing to basically bet my life on my ability to achieve it. And I am determined that no matter how hard it gets, I will stick with this and I will achieve it. And I'm telling you, that's the only way you'll ever achieve anything, is if you say, I will not quit until I get this. Because if that's not your mentality, you're going to quit before then. I'm telling you, there will come a circumstance where, in a time, where the only thing that's going to keep you going is your will to not quit. Your will to say, I'm just going to keep going. The circumstances look bleak, and I don't see how I can achieve this, but I'm going to try one more time, and I'm going to get up tomorrow and do it again.
Absolutely, Jim. Absolutely. I think many people have the wrong idea that, okay, I need to be smart enough or good looking enough, or I need to have these resources or whatever, these connections. But at the end of the day, it's your willingness to go through the desert and just push through
Mm-hmm.
every day. That is the differentiator. That is the defining factor, who's going to make it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Our looks are irrelevant, our intelligence is irrelevant, our skills, everything can be learned. Especially now, it's just type it in the chatbot and you'll get a
Yeah, exactly.
it gives you a
Exactly.
curriculum. So
Yeah.
it all boils down exactly as you said. Just get up and do it again. Do it again. It's
Yeah.
a new day. Start over if you have to, but keep moving in the
Yeah.
right direction. You'll get there. 100%.
100%.
Following from that, where is Jim going to be in the next 12 months?
Great question. So I just achieved a major goal for myself earlier this year, which was going full time in my business. And I recently was able to achieve another major goal, which was getting my wife out of her job and out of her 9 to 5 job. And so we're both full time in our business. She does a photography business. I do marketing. And so that's been something that's like, I'm very proud of that. I worked hard. It's taken me since I was 17, 18 years old of knowing what I wanted, not knowing how I was going to get it. But like I mentioned earlier, knowing that I would get there and not stopping until I achieved it. And so vision for the next 12 months is a major goal. I want to get my dad out of his job. That's a major goal of mine. He still works as a trucker. He's busted his ass his entire life. Yeah, so that would be something awesome for me to be able to retire him. Maybe even just have him come work for me. Gotta make some more money first, so that's a major goal. And then obviously I have some monetary goals of the 10K a month, the 20K a month. But I think I'm a lot more focused on the people in my life and making sure they're all taken care of first. So that's probably in terms of the things I want to achieve personally. And then in terms of the business, definitely want to scale up, definitely want to bring on a team underneath me so we can take on some more clients. I'm starting to reach that point, which is a great point of me being maxed out in terms of how many clients I can take on. So I'm starting to kind of train up my brother underneath me. And then I think it'd be awesome to have my dad work for me as well. So yeah, those are probably the biggest goals. Obviously, continue to develop my skills, continue to develop myself as a person. And that's probably where I put the majority of my focus is becoming a better man every single day. Every day is day one. Just start over, do it all over again, get 1% better.
That's a beautiful goal. If you're only building for yourself, what is the reward at the end? But
Yeah,
when you can share your success, when you can help your family members, that's where the real
100%.
value comes, for sure. On that note, is it true that you wake up every morning at something like 4:20 or something?
I take a picture and go back to bed. No, I'm up every single day, 4 a.m. I wake up, roll out of bed, make sure to snap a picture of my watch, and then I'm straight into the cold shower, wake myself up, do some yoga, and then I get started on my work. So the reason I do that, if you don't mind me sharing, I think it'd be valuable for some people. The first point I'll make is it's not me bragging. I think that's something a lot of people mistake about the people who post like wake up pictures or gym pictures. It's not me trying to say that I'm better than anybody. In fact, the picture is honestly probably the biggest reason why I get up every single day at 4 a.m. is because I know there's people out there who know that I post a picture every single day at 4 a.m. And that's why I started doing it, is it's for the accountability, because I wanted to have that anchor in the morning of no matter what's going on in my life, no matter the circumstances, no matter how hard life gets, because we all know it gets hard. I get up at 4 a.m. because that's the kind of person I am. And when I start my day that way of pushing through that pain of the alarm clock goes off and, oh man, do I really want to get up? Do I really want to get up? No, I never want to get up. Who wants to get up at 4 a.m.? Who does? But I get up and I push through that pain, snap a picture, and then it's another pain of the cold shower. And then I push through the 5-minute cold shower. And then I've already tackled 2 tasks that I hate to do straight away. And it builds that momentum of, okay, I've already done 2 hard things. Now let me make some cold calls. Or now let me send some emails. Or now let me work on that piece of content I've been avoiding. Or now let me do a podcast that I've never done a podcast before, and it's something uncomfortable for me. But you know what? I'm going to do it because I crushed my morning already. I've already done a workout. I've already got up at 4 a.m. So it helps propel me into the day and really, honestly, just builds that momentum. So, do you need to get up at 4 a.m. to have that? No, 100%. And I tell people, even if it's 9 a.m., get up at 9 a.m. every single day. One, there's a multitude of health benefits from it in terms of circadian rhythm, your sleep schedule. You're going to feel a million times better, but also because of up here. I'm the type of person who does this. Who gets up at 4 a.m. every single day? No, nobody. But I do, because that's the kind of person I am. And that's when you start to develop that mindset, it completely shifts your identity to where, oh man, I've never done a YouTube video before. But okay, I can figure it out. I might suck in the beginning.
Right.
I might fail in the beginning, but I can figure it out. And another point I'll make on it, not to touch too much on me getting up at 4 a.m. every single day, but I used to struggle to get up before 10 a.m. And that's not a joke. 10 a.m. would roll around
Right.
and I would hit the snooze and sleep till 12. And I'm sure a lot of people resonate with that. So it's not that I've
Sure.
always had it figured out, but I slowly over the course of 2 years just got up 15 minutes earlier, 15 minutes earlier. And it kind of ties back into that point we made earlier of those 1% improvements. Yeah, people see me get up at 4 a.m. every single day now, but they don't see the 2 or 3 years of
Progress.
getting
Right.
up 15 minutes earlier. So that's where I would encourage people. The 1% improvements add up. So focus on that, 1% better a day, and you'll be where you want to be in no time.
That's impressive. Good. And it's a smart advice because of course everyone has the tendency of let's ignore it, let's just push away the difficult tasks, the ones that I don't want to do. And
Yeah.
especially when if you've been an employee your whole life working for someone else, then we have the tendency of okay, how can I avoid all the difficult work? And if you do the
Yeah.
transition into like, okay, now I'm supposed to be responsible of myself. You cannot anymore like just act busy and do the secondary task to fill up your day.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
actually need to do the difficult things, or otherwise your business is not going anywhere. And I'm talking from experience. I know for
Yeah.
sure
Maybe.
what that is.
Yeah.
So your approach is really smart that you already tackle do things that you don't want to do necessarily. Like, okay,
Mhm.
you have the picture that gives you accountability. You take a cold shower and then, okay, I already did this. Already have proof that I can go through the uncomfortable thing. So that's a very smart and commendable practice for sure.
Thank you.
Continuing about the general topic of future, how do you see YouTube going forward? Like, what is your current vision right now, or results? How you've been seeing how it's progressing for you personally, and the results, and how do you see it going forward?
Great question. Definitely something that I don't have all the answers for right now. It's kind of just something where it's one day at a time. In terms of where it currently is and maybe where I'd want it to be, like maybe 5 years down the road, they're kind of a little bit different. Where it is currently is very much focused on my business and educational content around that. And it's mainly geared towards the clients I work with. So small, local home improvement businesses. So a lot of stuff that they are just figuring out. Meta ads, why is digital marketing important? Meta business manager. So a lot of content geared around that, just to be that educational resource for them. And also it's going to help my business as well. So that kind of shows where my focus is, growing my marketing agency, putting out that educational content and becoming an authority in that niche. And that's kind of how I view YouTube, is where my focus right now is building my marketing agency. So that's where a lot of my content's going to be geared towards. And maybe in 5 years, I've sold my marketing agency and I'm shifting into a different area. And that's where my YouTube channel will go. So I always want it to be a part of me. And I think that's something I would like to incorporate maybe a little more, is that personal side and the personal content. But it kind of just, like I said, shows where my focus is, and that's kind of how I'll keep it. So if my focus is maybe I'm building a different business, then I'll start putting out content around that and just keep it the same channel and make it who I am, not a business.
Right.
You were mentioning before that you also have this idea of YouTube channel kind of being like a public journal of sorts that
Yeah.
is going to be the memory for yourself, like looking back 5, 10 years or 20 years from
Mhm.
now, and you can see like where you were. And it can also be generational. Like it can be something your kids see, like this is
Yeah.
what my dad did 25 years ago. And
Yeah.
it's also a good approach to it, and gives you kind of like a bigger perspective that whatever, like this video that we're posting today, who knows how long it's going to be online, and who
Yeah.
knows who's going to see it in the future. So it's also a good kind of perspective to creating content, that also it can really have a long shelf life. We're talking about beyond the point of like serving, the immediate purpose, like, okay, let's educate business. But okay, it's like an archive. It's like a library. Okay,
Yeah.
my dad used to do that, and then they see your picture, as snapshot from the past. So I
Yeah.
think it's just a pretty cool aspect.
No.
Aspect to it.
And I mean, amazing points, honestly. And like, honestly, good reminders for me. And I would encourage anybody starting out to take that perspective. Even if you don't have it figured out, I think that's something we forget as humans is how much we connect and resonate with not having it figured out. I think much everybody resonates with that. So if you don't have it figured out, document that you don't have it figured out yet and you're figuring it out as you go. I assure you, more people will like you for that than putting on a facade of I'm already a millionaire or I've already got it figured out. People can see right through that. They really can. And so if you don't have it figured out, just say, I don't have it figured out, but hey, here's who I am. Here's what I've done in the past. And here's where my vision is going. And here's some things I do during the day that I'm trying to like learn. And here's some things that I have learned. And you're going to build a following with that because people are going to connect with you. And then when you do achieve the goal that you set out, it's going to make those fans lifelong fans. And then they're going to say, hey, like I saw you achieve that. Could you show me how to do that? And then you've got yourself a business. So I would encourage you, if you are like at that place where we have all been, I've been there, Maru's been there. I know I want this, but I don't know how to get there. The secret is always the same as it is for anything in life. Just start and figure it out as you go and document your journey. And like Maru was saying, make it a journal for yourself. I'm excited to watch these videos back in 10 years and be like, man, I kind of sucked and I had no idea what I was doing. But it's going to be amazing to see the progress I've made. And like you even mentioned too about your kids, you can create content for your kids and for your grandkids and people who are never going to meet you and go, oh, this is my great, great, great granddad and his journey. And you can teach them lessons. You can share your wisdom with them. And so amazing, amazing points and good reminders for me that I'm still figuring out and still trying to incorporate in my content as well.
Likewise, it's an excellent point, Jim, that we only give the facade of figuring it out. Like, of course, there's these people who are ahead of us, but even them behind the scenes, behind the camera, when they stop shooting, they're like, I don't know if this was good enough. Like, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? Everyone has always these same questions, and as you said, this is something we can relate to, not like the act of, okay, this guy knows everything for sure, there's 100% certainty and just do this and everything will work out. There's always, especially being a solopreneur, one thing that I realized early on, you really need to embrace and accept uncertainty. There's only a handful of things you can control directly, and all the rest you have either indirect control or no control whatsoever. And it's just part of the journey.
Yeah.
And the more you are honest about it, the more other people who maybe they're interested of doing the same as you. And when you show them, when they can go back in your, for example, YouTube videos, said, okay, let's see where he was, what Jim was doing 2 years ago. Okay, he was on this stage. And for some people, it can be an inspiration. And okay, everyone starts from somewhere. Even like old Mr. Beast videos was him playing some Call of Duty or something. Like, we all start from somewhere, and it can also work as an inspiration for others to follow the same steps.
No, 100%. And I always tell people, if I can, like, not that I've made a ton of progress or have 1 million followers, but I've got a couple thousand followers. And if I can figure it out and I can produce consistent content and I'm still figuring it out, I'm telling you, you can figure it out. If I can get on camera, you can get on camera. When I was like 13, 14, 15, I couldn't even have a conversation with an adult. I would stutter. I'd not be able, that's not even a joke. I would stutter. I would kind of have like a panic attack. And so if I've been able to make that transition, I'm sure you can probably have a conversation with another human. So if you can do that, you can do what I've done. And like you said about the inspiration, that's what I hope long-term to achieve with my content, is showing people like, hey, if he can do it, I can do it. And show my kids like, look, this is where dad came from. He can do it. Like, if he can do it, I can do it. And just generations of inspiration and showing people, doesn't matter where you come from, you can do it as long as you focus on, like I said 1,000 times already, the 1% improvements, and you aren't going to have it figured out. People are smarter than I am, more good looking than I am. They create better content than I do. They're funnier than I am. They have a better personality than I do. I mean, honestly, I'm an average dude. Like, if I'm being completely honest, I'm just an average dude. And I hope to have that be an inspiration for people. You don't have to be some anomaly or be some influencer with 1 million followers. If you focus on being the best you and just those little improvements, you can achieve something amazing in your life. Really, really amazing. And then once you do get there, don't forget to look back at the people behind you and do the same thing that the people ahead of you did for you.
Brilliant. Exactly. I agree 100%. Okay, we covered very good topics here. I always enjoy to talk with you, Jim. Any specific message you want to leave with the audience?
I feel like the overarching point of this, like, whole conversation, I honestly really liked where it was going. I didn't know where the conversation would go, but I love personal development. That's like who I am at my core, is mindset and being the best you. And yeah, I do marketing, but like, if we have a one-on-one conversation, it's probably going to go the personal development route. I'm not going to tell you about meta ads. I'm going to talk to you like, oh, what's going on in your life? Like, what are the things you're wanting to achieve and the struggles I've had? And so that's what I would encourage. One point I would encourage people is just be you. Don't try to be anybody else. I know it's difficult when you see people with millions of followers, millions of impressions, even if you're just getting started out and you feel like you're doing your best and you aren't making progress. Trust me, there's people out there who want to hear your message. And even if it's just one tweet or one video, you never know whose life you can impact. So focus on the one person behind the camera, the one person reading your tweet. And eventually you're going to create something great for yourself, an amazing business, or even just something that you can be proud of, hey, I built this X account to 10,000 followers. And so that's the first point I would make, is that authenticity and focusing on getting slightly better every single day. And then just being yourself. At the end of the day, we're all human. You can't put on a facade forever. And so the second point I would make is, like I've mentioned, the 1% improvements. I know we hear that all the time in the personal development. We hear that all the time in X, and we probably even say it. But actually embracing that and actually realizing what it looks like. What it looks like is you're going to feel like you're failing 95% of the time. You're going to feel like you are making no progress. You're going to feel like there's people who are way far ahead of you. And like I mentioned earlier, the only thing that's going to keep you going is your will to not quit. And so what I really ask yourself before you get started on any of this is this actually who I am? Is this actually the life I want to build? Because there's nothing worse than getting to the end of that path or getting to the top of that ladder and realizing this isn't what I wanted to build, or this isn't the type of person I'd want to be. And so that's where I put the majority of your focus, is being actually who you are, getting slightly better every single day, and actually building something that you get to the end of that road and you're proud of the person you became and you're proud of the things that you've actually built. And so it kind of all wraps into just be you. The business works on you more than you work on it. And it's about becoming the best version of yourself to where you get to the end of that road and you go, I'm proud of myself.
Excellent point, Jim. Absolutely golden. Yes. I can recognize that I had similar thinking recently, that really ask yourself, like, am I building something I can look back and be proud of? You really articulated that well there. So if people want to connect with you, where can they find you?
So definitely YouTube. So I'm sure Maru will put my channel in the comments section or the description. So you can find me there. X is kind of where I put the majority of my focus. If you want to actually see like who I am as a person and see that more personal side of me, I do have a Facebook and an Instagram, but they're much more kind of centered around my marketing. So I would encourage you, if you want to actually get to know me as a person, send me a DM. I respond to any DM that's not selling me something. I'll probably respond to it. So if you want to get to know me there, just shoot me a DM. It's my handle is @thejimshields. And if you want to get to know me, shoot me a DM. I'll talk with you and get to know you a little bit more. I'm pretty responsive in there. So yeah, that's the best place.
Very good. Thank you, Jim. This was a very pleasant conversation with excellent points. And I'm sure also people who are interested in the topic can take a lot of the good points here that we touched on regarding mindset and also more the technical sides. So thank you, Jim. It was a great pleasure.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.